All right, Kevin, back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I am here with Joey Vitale. Joey, man, welcome. It is so awesome to have you here.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm honored to be here.
Yes, and I got to tell you, I want to give a shout out to Alexandra because Alexandra Watkins, she is the one that connected you and I had her on the podcast as a guest recently. I'm going to tell you, talk about somebody with some serious energy. That girl, man, she has got it in spades, man.
Right?
and if you haven't listened to the interview with her, go back and check it out. And not only that, after her and I did the interview, she was like, Kevin, you have absolutely got to meet Joey, my friend Joey, and you've got to interview him for the podcast. And so you and I, we already connected. We got to have a conversation, get to know each other a little bit. And now here we are now back together again to do this interview. And I'm going to tell you what, Joey, I'm totally stoked to be having this conversation with you today. And
so am I.
What I'd like to do is I want to start by turning it over to you and give you the opportunity to share a little bit about, what you do, who you serve, what inspires you most about the work you do, and just kind of, set a little bit of context so that listeners get an idea of who Joey is and what's Joey all about.
Well, I love that. I'll answer that question, and I'll start to just give you, Kevin, and everyone who's listening, just some more context as to how I connected with Alexandra.
Sure.
Because she is fantastic. So I am a trademark law firm owner, as well as we started a new business this year called Skybreaker that helps people build virtual teams in a profitable way. And I mention Alexandra because when I decided, after a year of starting my business law firm and then deciding to niche down on trademarks, you can just kind of throw a rock at Amazon.com and say, hey, give me some help on naming my business. And Alexandra comes up as a number one option. She literally wrote the book on how to name your business. And because of that, as a trademark lawyer who legally helps business owners call dibs on their business names and things, I learned about Alexandra so early on in my career. And I remember reading her book, being like, oh my gosh, she knows her stuff. She's so good. She sounds so funny in this book. But I hesitated to reach out to her for years.
Okay.
Because I was like, man, I just started. She's been doing this for years. She probably already has some other trademark attorney that she loves, that she sends all of her work to. I don't know if I've got the chops yet to reach out to her.
Yeah.
And fast forward a few years, I eventually grew up the courage to reach out to her, thank her for things. We connected over Zoom, and now she's like in my top 5 on my phone, right? And I wanted to say that just because I understand the topic of this podcast. And if you're tuning into this, one of my biggest lessons learned this year is, if there is someone just in your business world or in general that you really look up to, that for whatever reason you're holding back on reaching out to, there's really nothing to lose by firing off that email or that DM on social.
Yeah. And I mean, you're so right. I mean, there's so much talk about the big wave going on right now with AI and stuff. And it's massive, it's game changing and all that too. But I was commenting with a group of entrepreneurs this morning. I said, you know what? I was like, I am so behind the curve on AI. And I'm just over here. In fact, I am like invested zero into AI. I'm just over here. I've been doubling and quadrupling down on relationships. And yet that just feels like such the right thing to do, and to hear, you share what you just did is just even more confirmation of that, because AI is going to do a lot of great things for us, no doubt about it, but it's not going to replace real, meaningful relationships.
100%.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's go into a little bit more. So tell a little bit more about like kind of, what you do, how you do it, and what really inspires you, Joey, what, to do what you do and make the impact you make in this world.
So I guess it all starts with this idea of I shouldn't have gone to law school.
Okay. Okay.
I know that Kevin is a father of 7. I'm one of 7 kids. I'm right in the middle. And my dad, he's in the construction business. So as I was getting older, my oldest sister went to med school. My dad was like, all right, Joey, I want you to have a good, safe career when you get older. So do you want to go to law school or join the family construction company? And I was like, well, I think I hate concrete more than I hate reading books. So I'll go to law school.
The lesser of the two evils, huh?
Exactly. And when I was in law school, I quickly realized that, I'm the black sheep in this group because I've never liked to argue. Again, middle of 7 kids. I've always been more of the peacemaker. And if you don't already have a very crystal idea of what you want to do with a law degree outside of litigation, law school just kind of pushes everybody towards all the nice jobs are at a big firm doing litigation work. Mm-hmm. So I followed that direction and spent 2 years at a medium-sized litigation firm, trying my best to be a courtroom attorney that was so opposite of my personality. Mm-hmm. Kevin, it got to a point where there were people in my firm that were encouraging me to stop going by Joey because they said no one would take Joey seriously in the courtroom. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so after a couple of years of really working on what I thought were weaknesses in myself, I decided to part ways with the firm, moved with my wife from St. Louis to Chicago, and decided to go out on my own, start my own law firm. And I quickly realized that all of those parts of me that made me a pretty bad courtroom attorney were like a secret weapon for my success as a business attorney. Yeah. And that there were so many entrepreneurs looking for someone who was approachable, not the bulldog, who could kind of lower the temperature in the room in terms of them having legal problems, having business risks that they need to talk through. And after a year of helping business owners in kind of like a everything but the kitchen sink way of contracts and LLCs and copyrights and trademarks, we realized very quickly that out of all the legal things we could help people with, trademarks were the number one thing that our clients were getting blindsided by that was costing them money, even if they weren't very big yet.
Wow. Wow.
Because it can happen to anyone that hasn't gone through the trademark process where, I mean, we've had clients on vacation that get a cease and desist email and now have to spend their vacation time rebranding their company, rebranding their podcast, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my team and I, we're really on a mission to help give more business owners peace of mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we do that on the legal side with trademarks and brand name protection. And with this new business, it's all about giving business owners peace of mind on the team side so that you can go on vacation, be with your family, take time off the business, and your business and your team can still take really good care of your clients.
Yeah. 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 Wow. I listen to what you just shared, Joe. I think back to when I was a kid in, junior high and high school and stuff. And I have just always been this inquisitive person. And as a kid, I asked so many questions of people, which, and like a lot of times people, why you ask so many questions, even now with my wife, who, next month, we will celebrate our 18-year wedding anniversary next month.
Mm.
And even to this day, she'll be like having a phone call with the kids or whatever. And when she hangs up, I'll be, oh, did you ask them about that? And she's like, no, why would I ask them? And I'm like, why wouldn't you ask them that? But yet this way of being, kind of like what you just shared, where people saying, oh, you should not, Joey, people aren't going to take you serious. And yet, Joey is who you are.
Right.
And all these other things that just make up who we are at the core of us, that what makes us us, and what makes us just, brilliant at doing what it is that we do. And, as it turns out, this natural curiosity that I've had all my life. And now, for years, I love talking with entrepreneurs. I love asking questions about what are they working on? What are they most excited about? And it turns out that when you ask them questions and you're genuinely interested in hearing the answers, you end up giving them this gift that they seldom get, which is this gift of feeling seen, heard, and understood,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and this just comes naturally to me. And I just love doing that. And it's just totally paved the way for me doing what I get to do today and stuff, and I couldn't imagine not asking questions, because I just love finding out the answers.
So, that's great.
And so kudos to you for just realizing that, like, this is who I am. This is what I love doing. This gives me immense joy and satisfaction doing this. I feed off of doing this. So now that we've got a little bit of context set, I'm going to reiterate the question for the benefit of the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons that completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And Joey, I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
Mm. When you were saying that question and you said business or personal, my mind immediately went somewhere when you said business. And then when you said personal, I was like, well, my wife is number one there, right? I mean, my whole life has changed because we met in our relationship. On the business side, what comes to mind for me is I built relationship with someone and with a company that helped me realize the powerful difference as a business owner when you're working with a coach or a consultant.
Okay.
And it's funny because Alexandra and I now also both work with this person, but his name is Cody Munster. He works with a company called Cultivate Advisors.
Okay.
And when I connected with Cody, he really helped me see, because I was looking for help growing my business. And he said, look, if you look at the marketplace and you look at your options and you look at who you could hire to help you grow your business, there's this bucket of people that call themselves consultants who they get paid to tell you what they think you should do to grow your business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you have this other bucket of people who call themselves coaches, which if they're good coaches, what they should be doing is not telling you what you should do, but asking really good questions so that you can clarify for yourself how you want to move forward. And the reason why I love working with Cody is because he helped me see the reason why they call themselves Cultivate Advisors is because they're like, we see an advisor as someone who can really fit both coach and consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who can, he was like, Joey, I want to be a non-equity partner in your business. I want to be able to to have conversations with you where you know that I'm caring about your business as much as you are, asking you questions about your vision so we can hit it, and giving you the tools of all of the experiences that I've had working with other business owners to say, even little things of, oh, if this is what your homepage looks like, how can we tweak the copy to double your conversion rates?
Yeah. Yeah.
And having over the years, I've worked with more coaches and consultants and course creators and experts and gurus than I can count. But I really love having that one main overarching investment of an advisor, because it really helps me not just kind of delegate and outsource. Like, I want someone else to do the business thinking for me. Because he really is like, no, Joey, let's remind you of what your vision is, of what you're wanting to grow. And at the same time, if he feels my energy levels being low or has perspective that I don't have, he can say, but Joey, have you thought about this? And it's been a game changer.
Yeah. How long ago did you meet Cody, and how long have you guys been working together, Joey?
I want to say it's been maybe 3 years at this point.
Okay.
I actually connected with Cultivate at a networking event here in Chicago. And we confirmed that my business wasn't even at a point yet where they're like, you know what? I don't think that we're quite ready to start working together, but work on X, Y, Z. And then once we see certain improvements in your business, then we can match you with an advisor.
Okay.
And that was another just really great, genuine experience to go through of like, they're not just trying to take my money and run.
Yep. Yeah. So if you look at this relationship that you and Cody have had over the last 3 years, and I'm sure you can come up with a number of examples, but I mean, we can just focus on one for now. If you look at, because of this relationship that you and Cody have, what is an example of it has led to you being able to have a really big impact through doing the work that you do? And hands down, that would have never happened if not for your relationship with Cody.
Yeah. One of the things that I love working about Cody, and this is true with a lot of people that are colleagues of mine that I invest in various relationships, they work with a lot of impact-driven CEOs. And Cody and I were talking about this recently. He said, Joey, I love working with impact-driven business owners, in part because they give me a puzzle that I love solving. And the puzzle is this: almost every single impact-driven CEO has built a business based on what they know people need. But it's not really what people want and are asking for. And so far more often than not, if you look behind the scenes of an impact-driven CEO's business, their marketing and sales are an uphill battle.
Okay.
Because for them to just say, oh, we help people do this thing that we know people need, it's not usually what people are raising their hands saying, oh, yes, that's what I want. Right? Oversimplification is people who are helping other people get more confidence or find true love or whatever it is. But then they're getting out marketed by people who are selling 6-minute abs. Right? And so Cody has helped me more times than I can count on doing two things. Number one, saying, how can we not lose sight of the real impact? And trademarks are a great example. Trademarks are hugely important for business owners. It's not exactly what everybody is Googling right now and figuring out what they can do to move forward. So he's like, how can we find the chocolate and the broccoli here? What is it about trademarks and legal protections and calling dibs on this stuff that is closer to what people are already problem aware of? And how can we start to speak that language to get people into our funnels, into our world, so that we can then walk them up this ladder of beliefs that gets them to sign up for an opt-in, book a call, become a client, right?
Mhm.
But the second thing that he's done around this topic that's been a game changer is, yes, we have a duty to figure out how to market stuff that's hard to market, but we also have a responsibility to our business to focus on the offer that our business does or can provide that has the biggest demand. So, like I said, we now have this second business that helps people with overseas team building. And we do things like match business owners with what we call global vetted VAs. So overseas administrative VAs that they can trust at $10 an hour or less. Kevin, it's probably not going to surprise you that a lot more people are raising their hands saying, oh yeah, I want that, than trademarks.
Sure.
And over the past few months, what we've noticed is it is much easier to get leads and sales right now. And I'm just speaking business owner to business owner on this VA side of things than the legal trademark side.
Mhm.
And because of that, the past few months, we've had some low months or not interest. And a lot of my time has been spent on, okay, what can we do on the marketing side to help get the word out about Indy Law and trademarks this month? And Joey was like, or Cody was like, Joey, I think it's time to really pull the Band-Aid off here. What if we said that it's no longer your duty to rescue the law firm when marketing or sales are low?
Mhm.
Because there is so much potential for the marketability in this other business.
Mhm.
And that can be a hard thing to do, especially as a, again, impact-driven CEO who sees the need and real value behind what you offer in different things. But really respecting the demand for your offers has already been a game changer in our business.
Yeah. So what is your vision for this? And of course, from your current vantage point, because that's going to be continually shifting as you move forward and stuff. But what's your current vision for this new business from where you're at, from where you can see right now?
We want to help hundreds and thousands of business owners escape the grind.
Mhm.
Right now we're working on average with, I mean, the numbers are growing fast, so I can't really give even like historical stats right now, but by the end of, the next 3 years, we would love to have thousands of people in our services and programs that's unlocking their ability to take month-long vacations where the business is not just surviving, but thriving with them gone.
Yeah.
And a lot of that too is it forces me to walk my talk. So I was telling Kevin how I'm taking the next 2 weeks to go on vacation. And yes, I'm excited about that. Yes, I can't wait for my wife's family to see Italy, to meet my family and all this other stuff. But I'm also super excited for the business to go through the growing pains of me being gone for 2 weeks,
Mhm.
seeing what breaks down, doing a debrief and saying, okay, now we know what to focus on
Yeah.
to prep for the next time I go out of office.
Yeah.
Because we're building a machine that can get stronger and stronger without my time being correlated to it.
Yeah. You know, I will tell you, and I can tell you this because I talk with so many entrepreneurs,
Mm.
and even those who run businesses that from the outside, for somebody on the outside looking in, they would say that, man, that is a really successful business. And yet the owner, the founder, the CEO of that business, the thought of them doing what you're about to do, to take 2 weeks away from, they can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
They can't even imagine. I was talking with a gal yesterday who, she's running a very successful business. In fact, just last week, she had a very successful live event that she did. And so she's coming off the back of that, and she's totally on a high. But yet at the same time, she shared with me, she's like, Kevin, she goes, you know what? When I was asking her, I was like, what do you really want to see come from this? And she goes, you know what I would like to see is being able to take weekends off. And not only that, Kev, I would like to take 3-day weekends. I would like to have Fridays off too.
Mm.
And I told her, I said, you participated in that round table that I did 3 weeks ago and stuff. And I said, I held that on a Friday morning. I said, and I typically host those on Fridays, and I'll host those like, a couple times a month. And I said, on the weeks that I host those roundtables, I host those roundtables, and then I'm done for the day on Friday. On the other weeks that I don't host roundtables, I just take Fridays off. And so every week for me is either a 2.5 or a 3-day weekend every single week. And so I can tell you from personal experience that this is totally possible for you to do. You can do this if that is something that you really want to do. And she was telling me about, like, she has this growing business, no doubt about it, but she's also doing a lot of things in that business that she doesn't want to be doing, that she'd rather not be doing.
Right.
Yep. And that's not an isolated case, Joe.
Far from it.
That runs rampant.
And not only is that where so many people are, but everybody has people around them, family, friends, with a story around working hard.
Yeah.
And values associated with that. And so I have so many examples of people in my family who really wear busyness as a badge of honor, and how I can't go on vacations with them where they can go more than a day without having to pick up their phone to do some type of a work call.
Yeah.
And what we like to say to our clients is, business growth isn't just about revenue, it's about profit. Mm-hmm. And profit isn't just about money, it's about time.
Yes. Yeah. And, being a dad of 7 kids and currently grandpa to 6 more, and that part, the personal children part, that's come to an end. There will be no more added there. But the grandchild part, there will be more there.
Right.
So, and I just love I never wanted to be the entrepreneur who provides for my family and does whatever needs to be done to provide for my family. Say, well, I might not be around, but I'm taking care of them.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be, and the thing is Joey, my dad, I had that work ethic growing up. My dad, as a little kid, and he passed away when I was 16, but he always told me, he's like, Kevin, the harder you work, the more successful you'll be. And that was his experience. He was giving me his best advice,
Yeah.
And out of high school, well, even in high school, I worked for a friend of mine on his parents' 360-acre crop farm all summer long. I busted my butt 5 a.m. till 9 at night, and I worked and cool. I mean, I was able to have things that other friends of mine maybe didn't and stuff, but I worked for it too. And I joined the Army right out of high school. And then after that, 4 years there, I spent the next 7 years working as a commercial fisherman on Alaska's Bering Sea. And I'll tell you, there was many times working that job where I'm like, man, Dad, I hope you see me now, because man, this is some damn work right here. But I also learned along the way that while my dad had the best of intentions for me, his advice is not necessarily true. And it does not require hard work. And in fact, I think it requires intentional work. And in being intentional about who we serve, be intentional about how we show up, be intentional about taking care of us first. Because when we take care of us first, then we can take care of others. And then others, when we are at our best, others get us at our best. And when we're not at our best, and when we're not energized and inspired by the work that we do, we can try to mask it and hide it all we want. People see right through that. They can tell. They can tell.
Absolutely. And to translate what you're saying into a lot of business owners' experience, or what we like to say is, phase one of being able to trade this time for money equation is to build a team around you, so work can get done in the business that's not relying on you. And then phase two is as easy as just quarterback your time and your energy so that when you're with your team, you're the highest version of yourself that you can be. And at that, once you get to a point where you have delegated all or most of the hats other than CEO to other people on your team, the only real job that you have is just to check yourself before you hop on Zoom calls or have any in-person time with your team of, what am I doing to get my body, my brain right, so that I'm maintaining the lowest temperature in the room, can let people know that there's not any job at risk, that I'm not stressed out, but I just want to be as effective as I can as we work through the issues that the business is having.
Well, Joey, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation today. For anybody that's listening to this going, dang, Kev, I really like Joey, man. I like what he stands for. I like the way he shows up. How can they find out more about the work that you guys are doing?
Oh, I appreciate it. You can go to indielaw.com. That's IND. Just trade.
Oh,
there we go.
I lost you for a second. So I heard you said indielaw.com. Spell it again. So
great. It's indielaw.com, INDIELAW.com, or skybreakergroup.com.
Okay.
For the team building. Both of those are Alexandra approved business names. So we've got her stamp of approval there.
Very good. Very good. Well, once again, Joey, thanks so much for taking the time to have this. Any last thing you feel led to share before we call it a wrap?
Well, two things. Number one, happy birthday to Kevin.
Well, thanks.
And on a related note, if you're tuning in, if you're still listening to this episode and you haven't yet given Kevin a review on the podcast on iTunes or wherever, I know how much it would mean to Kevin if you did that. So take a few minutes and make that happen.
Well, Joey, thanks for that. And yeah, I would really appreciate that. So thanks much. And Joey, thanks again for taking the time to have this conversation. I am just really excited to get this out there and share it with some other amazing entrepreneurs, because I know this is really going to hit home with them and stuff. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, Kevin. Talk to you soon.
All right.